Hey everybody, it's Jeremy, and welcome to a new episode of Sipping with Jeremy. Today we're going to be highlighting 3 different mezcals that come from the Bozal label. Now, Bozal is a brand that is created by Three Badge Beverage Company, and what they do is they work with 11 different palenques, or mezcal producers, in the regions of Oaxaca, Durango, and Guerrero, Mexico, and they make 18 different expressions of mezcal. Now, it's really cool. What Three Badge does is they actually give a portion of their proceeds from the Bozal label back to those 11 palenques, just so they can, afford things to help improve their region and community. Some people just buy the agave from these palenques, or they'll just buy the juice from the palenque. A company like Three Badge, they give a portion of their proceeds to these palenques to help them just build the community, and that's really cool because they're actually giving back instead of just giving money. There is a difference in that, and a company like Three Badge can see that. With Bozal, there are 4 different levels of expressions they have, and they're broken down by the colors of the bottles. So the yellow bottle, the ensemble here, is their blended mezcal. So this one's going to have multiple varieties in here, and you're going to see that together. In the blue bottles, it is the single maguey, and today it's going to be the Tobaciche that we're going to try. The brown bottles are the Sacrificio, which are like their Pechuga style. The one we're trying today is the Jamon Iberico. And then they have a black label, which is their special reserve. These 3 expressions of Bozal are available in the store. And let's go ahead and try out the Bozal Ensemble. The Ensemble from Bozal is a blend of 3 different agaves. It is going to be Espadin, which is your typical agave for mezcal, and then Barril and Mexicano. And yeah, as I said, it's a blend of those. There's not exactly portions of which one. I would imagine there is more Espadin than there is the Barril and Mexicano, just because Espadin is easier to cultivate for when it comes to mezcal. But yeah, it's a blend of those 3. Let's check it out. Question we get a lot when people are looking at mezcals in our store, they ask if it's smoky. Am I going to get a lot of big smoke on this? And for Bozal, you're going to get some smoke notes, but it's not going to be the overall characteristic because they want to highlight these agaves that they're using. With the Ensemble, you're getting a lot more of a soft earthen pit kind of smoke up front that works really well with the vegetal characteristics and the white pepper flavors of the agave as well. Kind of gives you more of that charred green characteristic. If you've ever charred your greens for a salad or anything like that, has a lot of that where you get that soft smoke but like the refreshing vegetal characteristics as well. So really good balance there. There is some soft tropical fruit as well on the back end. There's a little bit of minerality, so those 2 play well with each other. The minerality kind of leads to more soft smoke on the finish, so that's kind of what you finish off with. It's not like it's a big smoke characteristic, but there is some really nice subtle smoke on the back end with that soft fruit and minerality. So the Ensemble is a blend of 3 different magueys or agaves. Now we're going to go to the single magueys, and now we're going to try the Tobaciche. One thing I did forget to mention earlier is that Bozal likes to be transparent on their labels. It really helps on these magueys where you can find out, So, for example, this one is made in Oaxaca at Nome 472. So it's really cool because you can get a lot of the information on the bottle, and that is, again, some part of the transparency of Bozal, and they want to make sure that their 11 producers that they're working with in Mexico get their shine. And so, they are getting their acknowledgement on the label, which is really nice. And so let's go ahead and try this Tobaciche. The smoke level for the Tobaciche is almost non-detectable. Kind of reminds me more of like if you've ever been to a bonfire, the day after or 2 days after you wear that sweater that you wore at the bonfire, and you still get that like faint smoke smell, and it kind of takes you back. There's just a little bit of a smoke note here that just gives you the faint idea. It's kind of more of the ash of the smoke, if anything else. On the palate, you get more of a savory kind of herbaceousness on this one. A lot more of those dried white pepper, dried peppercorn kind of ideas here. There is some really nice lime zest, a little bit more of that lime citrus pop in the middle. That kind of gives your taste buds a little bit of an excitement. And then that leads into some really nice like apple fruit on the finish. A little bit more red apple, kind of juicy red apple characteristics. To just round out the back end. The definitely savory, peppery characteristics are what linger on the palate, but that fruit just really kind of balances out the savory characteristics while also giving your taste buds just kind of a nice, like, mellow mouthfeel. So this is definitely a style of mezcal that you can just sip on. With single varieties, I think it is really fun because you get to taste the different characteristics of all these different agaves. And with something like the Tobaciche, It's just super fun, like more savory, a little bit of citrusy, softer fruit. So just kind of a nice rounded overall profile of what single magueys can be. Let's go ahead and move on to the Jamon Iberico. As I mentioned before, the Sacrificio line from Bozal is their Pechuga line. For those of you unfamiliar with the term Pechuga, it's really a celebratory style of mezcal that usually involves some type of meat product being added to the fermentation. So typically you'll see it with chicken or turkey. You will also see it, I've seen it with snake, I've seen it with rabbit. This one does have it with Iberico ham. They also do make vegetarian pechugas, so I have seen some that are just like nuts and fruit forward. But for pechugas, they're more of a celebratory idea. You know, from what I understand, they were typically originally made to celebrate the harvest of the year. Now they've kind of moved on to being more of a celebratory idea. So, you know, for a wedding, for a big birthday, for something like graduation, that's when the villagers of Oaxaca or regions where they make mezcal would pull out the pechuga because it's time to celebrate and get down with the good stuff. The one we have today from Bozal is their Iberico Jamon. The Iberico Jamon is a blend of Espadin, Mexicano, and Tobaciche. So kind of a combination of what we've all had today. You know, in the first one in the ensemble, it was Barril, Mexicano, and Espadin. So we're taking two of the agaves from there, the Espadin and the Mexicano, and we're adding the Tobaciche, which was the single maguey we just tried, putting it in all in this along with Iberico ham. Let's go ahead and give it a try. While you do get some of the saltiness of the ham here in this Iberico Pechuga, there is a lot more of a fruit characteristic that I was not expecting. So like I said, there is a little bit of saltiness up front. You get a little bit of that dried Iberico flavor up front. But then you get this really rich combination of fruit. It's a little bit more mango, a little apple, a little red apple, a little green apple. So you get that combination of like that juicy red apple, the big sweetness from the mango, then that nice soft acidity from the green apple. That leads to a little bit more of like that lime zest, citrusy kind of characteristic that we found in the Tobaciche on its own. And then there is a little bit of a soft kind of smoked ham, smoked Iberico note on the back end. But the fruit characteristics really are the big stars of this one, where there is a little bit of those kind of smoked ham, salty ham characteristics to go with it. The fruit is really what stars here. There is a little bit of a vegetal note, but it's definitely the fruit forwardness on this Pechuga, which is really cool, because usually for Pechugas, you get a lot more of the weight from the protein, especially in like the chicken and turkey ones I've had. There's a little bit more of that oily kind of richness to the mouthfeel. With this Iberico, you're getting a little bit more of the saltiness, but just really allowing the fruit to be the star, which is really cool. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up this episode of Sipping with Jeremy. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And hey, feel free to send this to anybody you know who likes agave. One thing I did forget to mention about Bozal earlier, as I mentioned, you know, they do give proceeds, part of their profits, to the Palenques, the mezcal producers that they work with, the 11 different mezcal producers that they work with in Oaxaca, Durango, and Guerrero. But I also forgot to mention that when these plants are pulled out of the ground, when these agaves are, you know, matured, while they pull one out, they put two in. So they're making sure that there is agave for the future, and that's really cool. It's another one of the sustainability ideas that we really support at the Wine Country. You'll find that with a lot of our producers. They are mindful about what the generations after us will have to deal with, and they're making sure that they at least have agave to enjoy. Below, I will have links for y'all to check out our store. We'll also have links to these 3 mezcals, which are available in our store. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you have a good one. Drink well.